Hey, friends and neighbors, welcome back to As the Countdown Continues. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about a cruise line that we took once so far and enjoyed it very much. I have a very favorable opinion about all of the cruise lines that we've taken on our different, I think, 8 cruises so far, something like that. We went to Alaska back in 2023 and used Princess cruises. We were on the Grand Princess and went out of Vancouver on a 14-day there and back to Whittier, or Anchorage as they normally call it, I think, but the port is actually Whittier, if I remember correctly. Anyway, it was a 14-night cruise leaving out of Vancouver and arriving back in Vancouver. And we had a great time on this particular Grand Princess cruise. It was beautiful weather. We had been warned that, Alaska cruises get all kinds of either too cold or too wet, too cloudy. Ours was absolutely perfect. It was a little chilly, but of course we had been told to bring layers, so we had layers. We had jackets. Sometimes we needed the jackets, and sometimes we could just get by with regular shirt sleeves. It was beautiful, beautiful scenery. Absolutely gorgeous scenery in Alaska. If you've never done an Alaskan cruise and you like to cruise, I highly recommend going on an Alaskan cruise. We enjoyed very much Princess. I think Princess maybe gets a little bit of a favorable treatment from Alaska, possibly. I'm not real sure. I have no complaints about ours, though. We boarded. My wife does a wonderful job picking out our rooms, usually walking distance to the buffets or some type of entertainment that we know we're going to spend a lot of time at. And she did it again. We were like one floor away from the buffet and one floor away from what I ended up naming I-7, because Deck 7 had just about all the entertainment that we participated in. So it was within a floor. So we very much enjoyed that location. We did have a ocean view, I think they call it, ocean view room. It wasn't a balcony and it wasn't an inside room. We actually had like a good sized window. You could sit in it if you so desired. And actually, our view was obstructed by some lifeboats, but you could see through them, and you got sunlight and beautiful weather, beautiful room. Our steward was absolutely fantastic. Food was good, if not great at times. Um, the entertainment was absolutely the best that I think we've experienced on a cruise so far. The cruise director was very personable. We talked to him several times. Cruise director Dave was his name, and he has moved on now, from what I understand through social media. He has moved on from Princess and is now working with P&O Cruises. He was an Englishman, so he's kind of back to where he's from more. But he did a fantastic job. The assistant cruise director was a young Irish, I believe, lady named Neem, and she was wonderful. The whole staff was great, and by now it's about 3 years since that cruise, because this is 2026. They probably all have moved up in rank. They were wonderful. And I told them before we left, the night before the cruise ended, I met with a couple of them just outside of a venue, walking by. They were shaking hands. And I told them, of all the cruises that we've been on, and we haven't been on a ton like a lot of people have, but we have been on 8 or 9 so far. Told them that they are the hardest working entertainment crew that I had ever experienced. They were absolutely wonderful. Um, no complaints at all about Princess. Now, one thing that Princess does differently, and this is kind of getting back to the cruise line itself and not just the Alaska Grand Princess, but that cruise line, Princess, instead of a sign and sale card, I believe as Carnival calls it, or your room key that you use not only to unlock your door, but usually to make purchases on board and things of that nature. Princess uses a medallion, and they give you a lanyard, and you can put it around your neck. And if you really want to get into it, they do sell things that you can put your medallion in, like kind of like a bracelet type deal, and other things that you can put your medallion in. But the medallion replaces your key card. It reads where you are at all times and where your people are at all times. It knows when you're coming to your room and actually unlocks your door. Unlocks your door before you even get there. All you got to do is turn the knob. We even, I guess out of boredom or something, we tried a few times to see if we could beat the machine or whatever it is to unlock our door, but we never did. I mean, it knew we were close and it went ahead and unlocked our door. It was a unique experience. But by knowing where you are on the ship, you can keep up with your people, either on an app on your phone, or they actually had maps by all of the elevators and in other places too, and you could ask it where your people are, and it would show you on the ship. But if they had their medallion on them, and that was kind of important, is to keep your medallion on you when you left the room. One of the things that I enjoyed the most, and this was 2023, but one of the things I enjoyed the most about having that medallion and knowing where you were at all times, you could order food or drinks to be delivered to you, and they knew where to bring it because you had your medallion. And that was free back then. Now, this was 2023. We were kind of coming out of the COVID era, and things had begun to normalize a little bit. But that was wonderful. We would sit out on the pool deck or the side of the ship watching the beautiful scenery go by, order pizza and a Coke or whatever you wanted to eat. They would bring it to you. You probably needed to chip in a little tip extra for that, but that was all part of the package. Didn't have to pay extra for that. Now, and it started taking effect shortly after we got off the ship, I think, within 6 months anyway. They do offer that still, but it is a pay service. They don't do that as part of your onboard deal. You can get it, but you have to pay for it, like you do Wi-Fi and specialty dining and things of that nature. It's an option. It's not part of your, hey, I'm here, I get this with no extra charge. It's not like that anymore, I don't believe. But I enjoyed that very much, and we took advantage of it a few times and just thoroughly enjoyed that aspect. And I really wonder why some of the other cruise lines have not utilized that type of technology of the medallion and knowing where you are and where your people are, which can be kind of important sometimes. But enjoyed Princess very much. The cruise director, Dave, Neem, the entire entertainment staff was absolutely top-notch, the best around. Food was very, very good. In the main dining room, the buffets, everything. No complaints at all. Nightly entertainment was very good and unique, I think, to a certain extent. They had some musical performers that came and went. They were very, very good. There was one in particular, and I wish I could remember his name, but he was so personable that before the show, and we always try to get to the venue early, this was in the main theater, he would actually come out in the crowd, shake hands, and speak to the people as we were gathering up to watch his show, where a lot of them just stay back in the green room or wherever they stay before a show, before the curtain opens. They actually had to call for him on 2 or 3 of the nights because we kept going back to see his show. They actually had to call him to come backstage so they could get the show started because he was outside visiting with the passengers. And as it turns out, now I've been living, my wife is from there, but I've been living in west central Louisiana since 1994. Small little place out in the middle of nowhere, very rural. And he came up to me and asked me where I'm from. And I told him where I live. And I said, you'd never know it. And believe it or not, this guy this is Alaska Cruise. This guy actually knew exactly where out in the woods we live because he was born and raised not too far from there. Talk about a small world, but I guess that's really got nothing to do with Princess. But he was very personable, very good entertainer, as was everybody else that was there. Music, we enjoy going to hear the live music. Very much appreciate live musicians. And every cruise line, pretty much without exception, well, one exception I can think of, but they all have good entertainers, good musicians. There was one that we took, and I don't even remember. I know it was Carnival, but I don't remember which ship it was. They weren't good. None of them. None of them were good. But Princess, very good. So if you're going for a great Alaska cruise, I highly recommend going to Alaska. Princess did a fantastic job. The Grand Princess, one of the smaller ships, probably one of the older ones. I loved it. Absolutely loved the Grand Princess. All of the entertainment staff, all of the singers they brought in, the bands, wonderful. Food, good, excellent. They had some very nice excursions, and we did do those. Each cruise line, I think, does go to different ports or different glaciers. I don't think they all go to the same glacier over and over, but Princess did a great job showing the glaciers, taking us to ports. We were always right there where the action was, walking distance. We didn't have to tender in, as I recall, like you do on some excursions on some cruise lines. I did see there were a couple of times that there would be like 4 ships that were in port, 4 different cruise lines, and some, there weren't that many docks, so some did have to tender their people in. It was a very interesting experience, and I know this is getting a little longer than I probably intended, but I just want you to know that as our countdown continues, highly recommend an Alaskan cruise, highly recommend Princess Cruise Lines, and highly recommend the Grand Princess. And I know he's no longer with Princess, but if you're ever on a cruise, I think now it's with P&O Cruises around the English and Europe area, go by and say hi to Cruise Director Dave. He is just a wonderful cruise director. So as the countdown continues, let's all get out there and see what we can do with our time.